Let's talk about that interview between Lois Lane, Clark Kent, and Superman. Lois was having that sit down with Clark. I was surprised how aggressive she was in the conversation. I thought she was going to be pressing Superman like that in order for Clark to see like, hey, if you can't handle this type of grilling from me, a reporter, how are you going to handle this when you're in front of Congress, when you're in front of these other reporters that won't be so kind to you? It did not go that way at all, which surprised me, but it's not really bad because we get to see this other side of Lois Lane as a reporter, as well as a good look at the way journalism runs now. Whenever I think of reporters, I think of the old school dudes like Edward R. Murrow and like Walter Cronkite, where their whole thing was, we're just going to report on the facts of the matter. We're going to remain neutral of it. And watching the news now, it feels like, I mean, you can tell that that's all gone out the window because there aren't many news sites and news media outlets that are reporting on just like the facts down the middle. We see them spinning things. So it was very surprising to me to see Lois Lane spinning shit. She was taking things Clark said off the record and putting them into the interview. And we saw her basically, man, she was pushing and it made Clark have to break from being Superman and Clark Kent. I think the biggest surprise was when Clark talked about taking that leader into the desert and putting him up against a cactus, and Lois saying, okay, so you were torturing him, like, yeah, hey, what are you doing right now? It was just wild to see Lois Lane be that type of reporter, one I'd expect from like Fox News. Whatever Superman said he did, she blew it up. And at the root of the matter, as Clark says, yo, people were going to die. You want me to deal with red tape when people were going to die? Would have been better if I got everything approved by the government and all that. Meanwhile, like 15 people died while I was waiting. Would that be like better so that I'm in the clear? Nah, I acted. What do you want me to do? There's a podcast I was on called Night Nerds, and Terry Starchild brought up this really good point where people always talk about metahumans taking over and doing whatever they want because they have the power to. We see people in the government doing the exact same thing. They get to decide who lives and who dies, who gets medicated, who doesn't. So what's the real difference here? You can say that Lois Lane was doing the whole devil's advocate. And we know the devil doesn't need an advocate. But I think devil's advocate only works when the situation can call for it. Because when it's a more severe situation, the devil don't need an advocate for that shit. At the root of the matter again, Superman was going to save lives. That's who he is. That's what he does. We should be thankful that someone with the power to jump over red tape is willing to save lives, because red tape and bureaucracy can get folks killed as well, waiting to go through the proper channels. Oh, I went through the proper channels. It only took 36 hours and now there are hundreds of people dead. But I went through the proper channels, so I'm okay about it. Fuck that. There's different ways to get your hands dirty. Superman got his image dirty by doing this, but he was willing to do it in order to save lives. Something that Lois Lane was just like kind of skirting around, because that was the real matter of the issue. I don't think that Lois Lane is a horrible character or person because of this one scene. If anything, it felt like she fell into the trap of, okay, I got this interview, I gotta be the first one to get it out, I gotta make this shit, pop, instead of really just having a conversation with the person she's interviewing. And seeing this side of Lois is good because, a good character and a good person doesn't always show you their best side. Sometimes we will see this other side of them that might not be as pretty. But that's what fleshes a whole character out. And I thought when seeing this, like, okay, maybe she's a little earlier on in her career too. Due to how this interview went, she may conduct one differently the next time we see her in the movie, and she's doing one. We gotta normalize good characters and good people having asshole moments. I might not have liked Lois in that moment, but it wasn't enough to get me outside the lane of Lois Lane, yo.